Oh boy, do I have a fast and easy, delicious dinner for you. An entire spaghetti dinner complete with spaghetti and garlic toast, and then baked spaghetti for leftovers. Here's how you do it. First, I want you to put about 4 quarts of water on to boil in a large pot. You're going to need plenty of water to boil those noodles so that they don't stick together. You're going to need a skillet, and I want you to add a tablespoon of salt to your water. That gives your noodles good flavor. Don't forget that step. I have a very low fat ground beef, so I'm adding a little oil to my pan. I have a pound of spaghetti noodles. You'll see I'm not using expensive ingredients, so you can make this really affordable. A pound of ground beef. Again, mine's very lean, so I added a couple tablespoons of vegetable oil. I have a jar of ragu sauce, just any prepared sauce is fine. Garlic powder and onion powder, salt and pepper, we're going to do those to taste. I keep those on a shelf over my stove. That's why I'm reaching everywhere. I have some leftover hamburger buns. You can use hot dog buns. You can use regular bread, or you can have some nice bread, crusty bread from the store. You're also going to need some butter. And then what I want you to do is take your ground beef, preheat your pan over medium heat, and then I go ahead and tear my ground beef up when I'm getting it out of the package. That makes it easier to chop up in the pan. That way you're not chopping and chopping and chopping while you got other stuff to do. I think this is easier. So you can see my pan's sizzling a little as I'm putting the meat on there. That's just exactly what you want. Because you want it to have a little fried taste to it. That adds a little bit of flavor to your final product. Anyway, we're going to let this brown. We're going to stir it pretty regularly. I'm going to keep an eye on my water because when the water starts to boil, then it's time to add the spaghetti. Here I'm adding some salt. That was about half a teaspoon of salt. And some pepper, also about a half teaspoon of pepper. I like pepper. If you are not a big fan of pepper, you can add less. That's fine. Now we're adding about a teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder. Again, that's to your taste. If you're not crazy about those things, don't add so much. Then take a spatula or a big spoon and you want to break up your ground beef best you can and stir it around there. It may stick to the pan some. You can see that mine's stuck a little bit, and that's okay. It will come loose as it cooks. So don't get all stressed out about that. We're going to cook this meat until it's mostly brown, like 90% brown. We don't want to cook it and cook it and cook it until it's a dark brown because that will throw the taste of our sauce off. That's not how that's not the flavor we're going for. So till it's just about 90% cooked, and you don't have to worry about it. It'll cook the rest of the way in the sauce. It takes 3 or 4 minutes to brown a pound of ground beef. That's what it should look like when it's ready for sauce. See how it's mostly brown? That's it. That's what you want. Now I'm adding my ragu. Now I like a really, really saucy sauce. So that is a very large jar of ragu. Probably twice the size of a regular store-bought jar. I bought that one at Sam's Club, so it's a bigger size. But that's just because that's what we like. If you like a meatier sauce with less red sauce, then add less red sauce and add more meat. That's entirely up to you. And if you wanted onions in there, you would just brown those first before you put your hamburger in. So this is basically done. We're gonna let this simmer while we get everything else done, okay? Just stir it every few minutes, and if it starts to look too thick, add a little water. I just checked my pasta water. It's not ready yet. So we're gonna prepare the garlic toast. Here I have a little sheet pan that goes in my toaster oven, and I'm going to put my hamburger buns out there, and I'm going to put a few pats of butter on there. It's not an exact amount. I'm going to say maybe a tablespoon of butter on each. And then I'm going to sprinkle them with a little pinch of salt and a little bit of garlic powder on each one. That's all you got to do. Isn't that easy? So I'm going to go ahead and preheat the broiler on my toaster oven. You might be using your regular oven. If so, go ahead and turn your broiler on high. so it'll be good and hot when you're ready to put this bread on. Because once you have the broiler going and it's preheated, it will get this toast done in a hurry. And I mean in a hurry. You got to watch it, or I can't tell you how many slices of bread I have burned up. That is my worst crime in the kitchen. Put the bread in, forget about it, comes out black. Okay, so that garlic toast is basically ready. I got to put my salt and my garlic powder on there. There's the garlic powder. It's just a little bit, just a little sprinkle. And a little sprinkle of salt. There we go, a little sprinkle. I don't have a measurement on that. It's just a tiny little bit. And I'm using kosher salt, which you use a little bit more of than table salt. So go easy with table salt. Now let's cook these noodles. My pot is hot. That lid is hot. I'm going to take the lid off here in a minute. You can see it steaming, and it's going to be ready to add the noodles. I'm going to add the entire pound. See, I had to get my oven mitt, and now I've steamed up my camera. We're going to add the entire pound of spaghetti noodles, and how you do that is you put them in there and you use a long-handled wooden spoon to gently push the noodles all the way down in the water. You can see how I'm doing that. I'm not breaking my noodles. You can, but I find that makes a mess, and it's not really necessary, because you can't break a noodle into two pieces. It always breaks into three, and the third little middle piece goes shooting across the room. So I just take my wooden spoon and push the spaghetti noodles down into the water gently so they don't all break. And then we're going to cook those noodles for about 9 to 10 minutes. Look on your box, see what it says, and set your timer for that. And we're going to drain these when they're done. And the important thing is that you have to stir them every few minutes while they're cooking, or they will stick together and they will stick to the pot. That's an important tip to remember. Keep stirring your noodles. Don't let them go unstirred. When they're done, you're going to drain them in a colander and then put them back in the bowl so they stay warm. So I drained mine. I didn't get video of that. I apologize. But here I am putting them back in the bowl. Now, some people add olive oil at this step so that the noodles don't stick together, but I don't, because I find that the sauce doesn't stick to the pasta either. And I like my pasta to have plenty of sauce. When the noodles are almost done, then you broil your bread, and that's it. Dinner's ready. You did great. See, you can do that. That's easy. And it's delicious. Everybody will love it. If you're a beginning cook, this is the perfect dinner to fix for a beginner. But what do you do with the leftovers? So I'm going to show you. After we ate dinner, we had a little bit of noodles and some sauce left over. And there's my leftover noodles. And I'm going to add some sauce to those, because if you just layer things in the baking dish, then the noodles don't all have sauce. It's just gross if you do it that way. So go ahead and sauce your noodles before you put it in the baking dish. Make sure they're all coated with sauce. That's what I'm doing here, coating all those noodles with sauce. Then we're going to layer this into the dish. So I'm going to add about half to the bottom of the dish. Then I'm going to sprinkle with some mozzarella cheese. Then I'm going to add the other half of my noodles on top of that. And then as a final layer, I'm going to put the rest of my pasta sauce and a hearty layer of cheese on the top. And that's it. Then I've got dinner for a second night, a baked spaghetti dish. This is delicious, and I am not kidding about that. So I'm going to put tinfoil on this and put it in the freezer, and then I'll have it one day next week or the week after. It'll last up to 6 months in the freezer, but I kind of need my dish bag before then. You can also freeze this in an aluminum foil pan and take it to a neighbor, like if they're sick or something. So here is the sauce. I'm going to put the sauce on the top, and then I'm going to give it that generous coat of mozzarella over the very top, because that is the best part. Oh man, when it turns a little brown and gets bubbly, woo, that's so good. But anyway, it'll last up to 6 months in your freezer. You'll want to wrap it up real good. But we'll eat ours next week for dinner one night. So There you go. That's it. I'm going to put some aluminum foil on the top and plop it in the freezer. You can also just put it in the fridge. It'll keep there too. We'll work on it over the week. Hey, this is Wendy. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you'll join Sarah and I on our mother-daughter adventures in takeout. You can find Dorks with Sports wherever you download podcasts or at dorkswithsports.com.